Benavidez.
Yeah.
Could beat everybody. My money's with Benavidez until he gets beat. And then if he gets beat, I'm still with him.
And I just applaud David Benavidez because he ducks no one. What's up? I just applaud the fact that he ducks no one. And he's ready to fight at all times. He is the Mexican monster. Sometimes I'm wondering, is somebody going to hurt him because he's right there in front of them. He doesn't move, but he clearly shows he can take a punch and he can damn sure give one with either hand. He's got speed, he's got power, he's got boxing ability, he's got heart. And I don't know if there's a bigger fan of David Benavidez than me.
Mike Tyson has shared his prediction for the upcoming WBO cruiserweight title and put his money on David Benavidez to win against Zurdo Ramirez.
What makes him so good in your opinion, Mike? Why does he beat everybody in your opinion?
His attitude. You know, he was the little heavy fat kid and stuff like that, and he wanted to prove himself to the world. Listen, the greatest fighters in the world are the most insecure fighters.
Meanwhile, David Benavidez is also excited for the fight and shares that he will stick to his natural style against Gilberto Ramirez, confident he can find openings and do damage.
You guys know how I fight. I've come too far to try to change up my style, and I am who I am, you know what I mean? This is the way I love to fight. I'm gonna go in there, and I see a lot of opportunities me hurting Zurdo. So now and I've hurt him a lot before in sparring sessions, so I know for a fact I can hurt him, but it's just now that when I hurt him, I open him up. I gotta make sure I stay on him to get the stoppage. But I definitely feel like I can get a stoppage. I just gotta work behind the jab, use my movement, use some counter shots, and I see a lot of opportunities for me hurting Zurdo and then ultimately taking him out.
David Benavidez believes overlooking an opponent is dangerous, so he treats Gilberto Ramirez with full respect. He expects Ramirez to be fast, powerful, and smart in the ring, which he feels will force him to perform at his best.
Zurdo Ramirez do anything with David Benavidez.
You always, as a fighter, you have to give the respect where the respect is due, and you always have to be cautious. I think the fighters that go in the fight cocky, thinking that nothing could happen to me, sometimes get hurt, or sometimes something happens to them. You know, I'm expecting the best Zurdo Ramirez ever. In my head, the way I got prepared for Zurdo Ramirez, I'm expecting him to be fast. I'm expecting him to be powerful. I'm expecting him to be have a good IQ in the boxing ring. That's going to allow me to bring the best out of myself and perform at the highest level.
David Benavidez focuses on speed and volume instead of power as he moves up. He plans to wear down Gilberto Ramirez with combinations and body shots, relying on punches that land unseen.
You know, what I've learned from my past fights is that now that I'm going up in weight, you know, what I've learned is that now I've been blessed with speed. So I'm not going up there trying to outpower him. I'm not going to try to look for one shot. I've learned that the power is in the combinations. The punches that hurt the fighters are the ones that they don't see.
Exactly.
You know, I think I've showed that from my last fight with Anthony Yard, you know, staying consistent with the jab, throwing combinations, breaking them down little by little, and then attacking that body, and you know, and everything follows in line. So you know, I have a great, you know, game plan for this fight. I know I'm going to be faster than Zurdo Ramirez. So my game plan is, you know, to put them punches and bunches, put them combinations together, and attack the body all night.
On the other hand, Gilberto Ramirez enters the fight fully confident and sees no real threat from David Benavidez' speed. He is focused on proving he belongs at the top level and showing he can compete with the best.
So the big thing with David is his speed and his volume. How much of a concern do you think that is in the fight, and how have you been preparing for it?
No, I've been preparing really well, but no concern. And so I'm just excited for May 2nd because I'm going to prove myself that I'm the best.
Why is that not a concern? Because you've seen in the other fights, that's what gets the fighters. He overwhelms everybody with his speed and volume.
I mean, he's been doing well, and like you say, but I'm confident what I can do in the ring.
Gilberto Ramirez views himself as a proven champion and stays motivated by building his legacy. He continues to take major fights to show he belongs at the top and to prove he is the best.
I'm a champion already, and I'm two-time world champion, and then I'm a unified champion, and for me it's I don't care what can put me, but I'm more care for my legacy, for myself, because I get into this sport because I want to prove myself that I'm the best and I can do it. That's why I'm taking all these fights.
Meanwhile, David Benavidez approaches every fight by preparing for the strongest version of his opponent. He sharpens his defense, footwork, and counters so he can respond to every move Gilberto Ramirez makes, staying ready to adjust to anything in the ring.
I like to give the opponent a little bit more respect than they really deserve. You know, not that they deserve, but you know what I mean? I make sure that I'm preparing for the best version of whatever opponent I'm going up with. So that being said, I'm making sure my defense is on point. I'm making sure my footwork is on point. I'm making sure my counter shots are on point. So for every reaction, or for every action he has to do, there has to be a reaction for myself. You know what I mean? So I've been working this consistently in the gym. You know, if he throws something, I got to come back with a counter shot. I got to do a defensive shot. So I'm making sure all my P's and Q's are what they're supposed to be. And we got a great game plan. You know what I mean? I got to be prepared for the worst. You know what I mean? I'm getting ready for the best, and I got to be prepared for the worst.
Gilberto Ramirez also shuts out all outside talk once the fight starts, locking in only on what happens inside the ring. He frames the matchup as a direct clash where both fighters are chasing what the other has, turning it into a straight test of control and dominance.
As soon as the belt, ring, everything, nothing matters, just the win. Because he wanna take something that I have, I wanna take something that he had, and that's why that does all matter.
On the other hand, Roy Jones Jr. describes the matchup between David Benavidez and Gilberto Ramirez as a strong, fan-friendly fight with real competitive value. He edges slightly toward Benavidez to win, but still regards Ramirez as a proven and dangerous opponent.
Benavidez versus Zurdo Ramirez.
That's a good fight. I can't wait to see that. I think Benavidez definitely beats Zurdo, but it's a great fight.
Oscar De La Hoya also calls the all-Mexican matchup a massive fight for boxing, expecting high pressure and non-stop action from both men. He describes David Benavidez as a high-volume puncher with questions around his durability, while seeing Gilberto Ramirez as more patient and selective with his shots. Even with those contrasts, he leans toward Benavidez, thinking one big exchange could decide everything.
Styles make fights, obviously, and I've watched many Benavidez fights. I've watched many Zurdo fights. Obviously, I promote him, but Benavidez throws a lot of punches. Doesn't throw everything with power, and he doesn't really have a good chin. Okay, I mean, Zurdo, on the other hand, takes his time. He's very calculated, but every punch he throws, it's hard. It's got bad intention. All it takes in one exchange, when Benavidez is throwing punches and bunches, all it takes is one. That's all it takes, and it can change the fight. So I'm gonna go with Benavidez by a haymaker.
In another interview, Oscar De La Hoya describes the matchup as a major event in boxing, expecting non-stop action and heavy pressure on both fighters. He adds that fan expectations will push them to train harder and bring a warlike performance on fight night.
It's huge for boxing in general. When you pit a Mexican fighter and a Mexican American fighter in that same ring, you're gonna get fireworks. In Cinco de Mayo weekend, there's an added pressure on the fighters to perform even better than what they're used to performing. They're gonna train harder. They know what's at stake. The fighters know they have to impress the fight fans, because the fight fans expect a war on Cinco de Mayo. That's how important this date is. So the fact that we can make this fight together with PBC, that we can make this fight together with Prime, with Golden Boy, I'm excited for that, but obviously more excited for the fight. These guys are gonna bring it on Saturday night, May 2nd, and the fact that the fans are expecting it. The pressure is on for the fighters to perform. That's what I love.
Meanwhile, Robert Garcia praises Gilberto Ramirez as a disciplined, respectful fighter with solid fundamentals and real punching power. He acknowledges Ramirez's top-level experience, but points out that in some fights, his toughness and urgency have been tested under heavy pressure.
Hey, Benavidez or Zurdo?
Zurdo's a great person. I swear to God, I love Zurdo. He's a great dude. He's a very respectful person. He's a fucking straight up Mexican. He parties hard when he parties too. He does. He don't give a fuck. Man, he just good, but Benavidez is just a fucking monster, man. Benavidez, look, skills-wise, I think Zurdo's a fucking great skilled fighter. But when it comes to the fucking hunger they added to the fucking Benavidez don't give a fuck, man. Benavidez got cracked hard by that Cuban. What's his name?
Jose Benavidez Jr. also expects Gilberto Ramirez to train at a higher level, knowing what David Benavidez brings to the ring. He acknowledges both fighters have improved over time, but argues David still stands above the division with superior speed, fight IQ, and sharpness. In his opinion, no fighter at or above the weight can match his brother's overall level.
And I'm sure Zurdo trained, probably his hardest he's ever trained in his life because he knows what David's gonna come with. And I mean, I could tell you what happened, but I mean, what's the point of that? At the end, like, this is the way I see it. They were younger, so you learn. But I just feel like my brother outclasses everybody in this weight class and the higher weight class. He's just too fast. His IQ is crazy. I don't see anybody beating my brother or even being close.
However, Sebastian Fundora credits David Benavidez for his strong recent form, pointing to his rare mix of size, speed, and non-stop output. He explains that Benavidez differs from traditional power punchers because he applies pressure through constant combinations, with every punch adding real damage.
My favorite Benavidez, he's been on a good run, beating everybody. His last fight looked spectacular, and a heavier guy, stronger guy. So on paper, but we saw the difference in that. So I think they sparred a couple times ago. I think you mentioned to me before, and that it was fairly easy to him as well. So I favor Benavidez in this fight. Benavidez definitely has the punch to do it and the speed. He's bringing a lot of speed. Again, talking about the last fight, you saw the speed difference in these guys because these guys kind of like heavyweights, looking for one punch. All it takes is one punch. Just when is that punch gonna come? Benavidez is a lot different than these guys because he has speed. He'll throw like 20 punches at you and he'll hit you with all of them and they're all gonna hurt you.
John Molina Jr. also picks David Benavidez as the likely winner in the matchup, while still respecting both fighters' abilities. He gives Benavidez the edge, pointing to his all-around style as the key reason he is the favorite.
Big fight coming up very shortly, very soon, probably within a couple of days from now actually, and that is Zurdo versus David Benavidez. What are your thoughts on that fight?
Again, I think I'm more partial toward Benavidez. I think he is probably I don't want to say the A side because they're both great fighters, but I think he's going to be the one to win. I think it's favorite for him to win. I like Munguia and AC Resendez from Bayside High, old school Mario Lopez. But that's going to be a fun fight, a really, really fun fight.
John Molina Jr. stresses that sparring is not the same as a real fight, especially with pressure and attention on the big stage. He adds that both David Benavidez and Gilberto Ramirez have improved since their early sessions, but everything shifts once the real fight begins.
No, because sparring is sparring and fighting is fighting under the big lights and the big stage. And they've grown since that time significantly. You can see guys' characteristics, but everything changes. So I think it's still going to be a good fight for sure.
Meanwhile, Sean Zettel points out that David Benavidez is stepping into a tougher test against a naturally bigger opponent in Gilberto Ramirez. He warns Ramirez must be in peak condition after past concerns with fitness, or he risks being overwhelmed. Even then, he rates Benavidez's speed and overall skill as on another level, making it hard for Ramirez to stay competitive for the full fight.
It's interesting. David, for the first time, is fighting someone bigger than he is. And I don't think Ramirez, he better not show up like he did for the Dorticos fight, his last fight, where he's very fleshy, soft around the midsection. He's got to come correct. And if he does, he'll provide some resistance. But, Benavidez is one of the best fighters in the world. And I just think his speed will be...
Analyzing the matchup, Fernando Vargas shows respect for both fighters going into fight weekend, calling them high-level competitors with strong credentials. He acknowledges Gilberto Ramirez as a proven world champion, but still rates David Benavidez as too complete and physically dominant to lose.
The Benavidez versus Zurdo Ramirez, Cinco de Mayo weekend.
I'm cool with both. Zurdo's a great world champion. I just feel Benavidez is, he's too good.
Meanwhile, Joel Diaz broke down the matchup between Gilberto Ramirez and David Benavidez, acknowledging Ramirez as a durable and physically strong opponent. He still leaned toward Benavidez, pointing to his faster hands, sharper movement, and higher punch output as deciding factors. Diaz expected a full-length fight, with Benavidez likely pulling ahead on activity and volume to win a decision.
Stylistically, well, Zurdo Ramirez is a tough fighter. He's strong. He's physically strong, big fighter. But Benavidez has speed in his hands, more movement. I mean, I see a fight going the distance by decision. Benavidez winning by decision due to volume and speed.
Joel Diaz expects David Benavidez to start fast with high pace and pressure, which could stop Gilberto Ramirez from settling early. He notes Ramirez usually improves in the later rounds, while Benavidez may slow slightly, but still sees Benavidez's output and volume as enough to win over time.
The way I see the fight is going to be hard for Bivol. I mean, for Zurdo Ramirez in the first 5 rounds because of the speed, and from there on, after the 6th, if Zurdo is still in the fight, he gets stronger because Zurdo gets stronger in the later rounds, and I noticed that Benavidez gets a little tired, and now the factor is weight now. Let's see what it does because Zurdo Ramirez comes into the fight heavy, and hopefully he's not a big factor in the later rounds for Benavidez. But other than that, I see Benavidez, outboxing Zurdo and beating him due to his speed and volume.
Jai Opataya also sees the matchup between David Benavidez and Gilberto Ramirez as closely matched in activity and work rate. He slightly favors Benavidez because of his younger energy, hunger, and strong drive to build a legacy. In his view, that extra motivation could be the key factor that separates the two.
Well, I think it's going to be a good fight. They both got high work rates. I believe Benavidez is younger and hungrier, you know what I mean? Zurdo's chasing that payday, that's why I believe Benavidez is still chasing a bit more legacy. He's got unfinished business. So.
Callum Smith expects a close contest between David Benavidez and Gilberto Ramirez, but edges it toward Benavidez because of his sharper hand speed. He downplays any major size difference, saying both are not natural cruiserweights and that won't decide the fight. He also notes Benavidez looks settled at the new weight, showing solid sparring and strong confidence going into the bout.
Definitely David moving up.
It's a good fight, really good fight. I just think speed with Benavidez probably maybe be the difference. I think he's got really fast hands. I don't think Ramirez is the fastest.
Yeah.
I think the speed, and I don't think Ramirez, neither of them are genuine massive cruiserweight, so I don't think the size will be too much of a factor. Although we're seeing head to head, and Ramirez looks massive to be fair, considering he both come from 168. But yeah, I just think the speed of Benavidez will probably be. Plus, they've sparred a lot as well, so I don't think if Benavidez fancied it too much, he doesn't have to go up to cruiserweight. So the fact that he's choosing to do it means he probably likes how the spars went.
Adding to the discussion, Showbiz the Adult describes David Benavidez as having the tools and mentality of a potential all-time great, but still needing a signature performance to confirm it. He sees this fight as the moment for Benavidez to rise under pressure and fully prove his level against elite opposition.
I think he is an all-time great already in here and in here. So now he just got to show it. I think he's been building the right building blocks. I think he already has one of the better resumes in boxing. And I think this is the perfect time and perfect opportunity to show people what greatness looks like and how greatness is being manufactured and how greatness is being shaped.
David Benavidez is backed as the clear favorite over Gilberto Ramirez, with emphasis on his faster hands, technical skill, and constant combination punching from body to head. The Analyst respects Ramirez as a strong multi-division champion with size and physical strength, but sees Benavidez's non-stop pressure and sharp offense as too much to handle. He expects Benavidez to control the fight and secure a decisive win.
He will beat Ramirez. Hands are too fast, too tricky, too crafty. He's too busy. Downstairs, upstairs, downstairs, upstairs. David Benavidez is just too good of a fighter.
Combinations. Like, what's wrong with him?
And this is not to discredit Ramirez, who's a real champion. He's a guy that has been a champion in different divisions. He's a big guy. He won't beat Benavidez. David Benavidez will win that fight big. Trust me, I'm saying it now. He'll win that fight massive, which will make the
So that's all we have from today's video, and we hope you have enjoyed it. Share your thoughts about this exciting matchup in the comments section, and make sure to subscribe to our channel for more of the latest updates about this epic clash.